Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian, and it is Wednesday here on the show. You know what that means? Hey, I'm in a good mood today. So, yeah, people worried about my blood pressure. That's fine. My blood pressure is fine. In fact, it's probably a lot better because of shows like yesterday. But we don't have anything to rant about today, just what's going on. Actually, I could probably rant a little bit about Ava last night. God, this character. God. Did you guys watch NXT? Oh, another dandy on the part of old Ava last night. Multiple, in fact. But anyway, we'll talk about NXT, and also AEW Dynamite is tonight. We have more matches announced for that show. This coming weekend is the Royal Rumble. We got the Saturday SmackDown show. There's got a bunch of matches announced, including a title match. That leads into the Royal Rumble on Saturday. Very, very big weekend for subscribers. We're going to have two Royal Rumble shows on Saturday night. One of them, the annual appearance of Mark, my buddy Mark, whose favorite show of the year is the Royal Rumble. So we'll talk to him about that. And all of the rest of the news from today. Triple H going into the Hall of Fame. We finally have some more information about Grand Slam Australia. We've got WWE running a live event in Paris, France. We got the Raw Netflix numbers. Chris Daniels talks about his retirement. Jordynne Grace is claiming that she's not going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. Chris Jericho talks Britt Baker, and plenty of other notes as well. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566, 425-780-7566, F4W Online at gmail.com, as well as F4W Online, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo at Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Are you heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania? If so, clear some time on the calendar because we have a lot of great events. It's our annual convention, the WrestlingObserver.com/F4W online convention in Las Vegas this year on WrestleMania weekend. April 18th, Friday, April 19th and 20th. We got special events every day. Friday will be the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez live Q&A. You can show up. We've got a meet and greet. Perhaps we'll have some merch, and you can ask us any question that you would like at the live Q&A. This will not appear as a podcast, a video podcast, audio podcast. You can only see and hear the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez Q&A if you attend live. That is April 18th at noon at the beautiful Palms Resort Casino in Las Vegas. We will also have wrestling watch parties. Have you ever wanted to watch wrestling with Dave Meltzer? 2 wrestling watch parties coming up that weekend, as well as 2 after parties. What is an after party? It's exactly what it sounds like. After WrestleMania, both nights, you'll be able to come back to a suite. I'll be there, Dave, a bunch of other friends and subscribers, and you'll get to party. We'll have alcohol, food, and more. These are the after parties after WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. If you want to go, you got to buy your tickets now. Tickets available for everything at f4wonline.com/Vegas. Easy. f4wonline.com/Vegas. Did I mention we're going to have a group dinner at Texas Day Brazil? It's an all-you-can-eat steakhouse, all-you-can-eat steak. I hear some of you right now, I don't eat meat. Doesn't matter. They have the best salad bar you'll ever see. Texas Day Brazil. You can grab your tickets for that meet and greet / dinner as well. Where? f4wonline.com/Vegas. See you there. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Hey, it's Wednesday. So, you know what that means. We got Observer Live, and then in 2 hours, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, it will be this week's edition of After Dark Radio. And a very special edition of the show we have. We have a special guest. Father Sebastian is going to be on the show. We'll talk about vampires. And as it turns out, the fangs that he makes, they're not permanent. So you can get yourself a pair of fangs. They're like inserts you can take in and out like a mouthpiece. So we'll tell you all about that. And vampire culture, the paranormal. He was on, not Ghost Hunters, but I forget the other show that he was on. Something involving ghosts. I'll get it here as we get going. But anyway, it's going to be a very fun show on Sports Byline. So however you're listening or watching to this right now, listening to this or watching it, you can listen to or watch After Dark at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. That means YouTube, Twitch, Ghost Adventures, thank you. YouTube, Twitch, and Sports Byline. And if you don't have Sports Byline in your area, you can use TuneIn Radio, which is free. Just go to TuneIn Radio, type in Sports Byline, and there you go. So I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on, but don't miss it, as they say. And by the way, if you're a subscriber, you'll get a bonus 20, 25 minutes of the interview that you won't get listening for free on the radio. So if you're a big fan of vampires, sign up now, brother.
Is that when you'll ask him about his thoughts on Gangrel's teeth?
I'll ask him. Actually, I may not. I don't know if he mentions anything about wrestling, I will ask him about Gangrel.
Well, no. I mean, you got the in right there with the teeth because he sells those inserts.
I'm sure that Gangrel
hey,
probably got a pair of inserts like that.
No, you need to ask him about like people who actually get their teeth filed down to do that. He actually went all the way out with the gimmick. David Heath did, I believe his name is, and actually his teeth are like that now.
But you see, if you file down your teeth, you have normal teeth that are just pointy. We're talking you can get like big old fangs. Which, by the way, I heard an interview with this guy. He said they're great for kissing. So anyway, we'll talk about that later today. Now, we got some news. Triple H reportedly inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. PW Insider reporting he will headline the Hall of Fame ceremony. He was informed of his upcoming induction today at a WWE Town Hall meeting with company employees.
Are you serious?
Stephanie, Nick, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels surprised Levesque with the news. He was said to be caught off guard and emotional in response. I can't make this stuff up, guys.
It sounds like it made for a hell of a press release. That's what I'll say. Good for them.
Yeah. It'll make him the 10th wrestler to be inducted twice, and the 8th to be inducted as both an individual and as a member of the group.
DX.
So hold on a second. Yes. Hold on. 10 wrestlers have been inducted twice.
Mm-hmm.
8 of them as part of a group. So 2 of them were just inducted twice as individuals?
Oh, tag team, maybe. Just pure tag team.
No, that's part of a group, isn't it? A tag team is a group of people. It is 2 people. That's a group. So, I don't know, man.
Well, much like their policy of not having anybody out there at ringside, maybe you can apply for that job and tell them this is how this is going to go. Yes.
No, I'm not applying for any WWE jobs.
In charge of the Hall of Fame.
God.
And terminology and such.
We also have the mystery around when Grand Slam Australia will air on TV domestically. It has been solved. Now, this is according to the TNT schedule, so God only knows. Because on TNT, they announced, they had a graphic on TNT with a time and a TNT graphic. That was on TNT. That was apparently wrong. So, we're going to presume that this is right. The official listing has the show airing basically as a 2-hour collision at 10:30 Eastern following NBA All-Star Weekend coverage. It is assumed the broadcast will simulcast on Max at the same time. That is not confirmed. They did, as noted, mistakenly display a graphic claiming 8 Eastern on Saturday. They have not officially announced a start time on TV other than the graphic that was screwed up. The show will emanate from Brisbane, Australia. Company's debut. Originally, the Suncorp Stadium moved to the indoor Brisbane Entertainment Centre due to what is assumed to be lower than expected. You don't say. Yes, it's lower than expected ticket sales.
You know the saying that escalated quickly? I think in the case of everything Australia and Grand Slam, boy, that de-escalated very quickly to the point where now this is, unfortunately, for them, what it is.
There's instances where, okay, I'll give an example. Let's say that All In Texas, I think there are over 10,000 tickets now, okay? But let's say that you booked All In Texas. It's All In. It's their version of WrestleMania. It's taking place in America, in Texas. And let's say that they sold 2,000 tickets. And they're like, man, we got to move the show, okay? If that happens, well, you have to chalk it up to surprising. It's surprising they only sold 2,000 tickets in Texas. Okay, but the thing with Australia is this is not unexpected at all, okay? When they announced that they were going to Brisbane, Australia for the show in a stadium, long before they put tickets on sale, it was not from people in America. It was not from people in England. It was from people in Australia. And they all started contacting me and saying, dude, this ain't going to work. And the reason for it, and, you know, Dave was on Observer Radio, and he was talking about how, well, you know, WWE doesn't draw all that well there either. But listen, this is forget WWE. The reason AEW is not drawing there is not because of, you know, it's not a great wrestling town or this or that. It's because there's no AEW presence in Australia, okay? I'd have to go back to the text message here with people explaining, like, this is what you get and when and et cetera. I mean, I read the entire thing, and it was like, there's no AEW presence in Australia. The number of people that are aware of and watch AEW in Australia is minuscule. And, you know, just book a show and they will come. That might work somewhere, like in Texas, but it ain't working in Brisbane, Australia. And it was known before they put tickets on sale. They figured it out very quickly once tickets went on sale, and now here we are. So
yeah, and I remember it wasn't, you know, even in Sydney or Melbourne, you would have had a better shot, but Brisbane was, you know, far away from where the other centers are. The other big kick in the crotch for them, though, is not only is that happening with the tickets and them having to make the move, but also I'm sure they wanted this to possibly be a pay-per-view. Certainly they wanted it streamed maybe as a Max exclusive. That may have been something that they were planning. So it just seems like also on the other end of the spectrum, the promotional end of airing it on TV and having a time and I think all that just kind of whittled away too and atrophied here in the face of everything else that's happened with that show. And now, at this point, all you're really hoping is that people are sticking around after the All-Star game, because if nothing else, you should get a big boost after the skills competition and after all that stuff. At least you want to hope so.
All right, so yeah, this is like all the details here. I mean, the AEW shows that air in Australia top out at like 20,000 viewers, and that's topping out. So the usual number of people in Australia watching AEW is well under 20,000, and so like the idea that you're going to book this stadium. And, you know, at best, you're getting 20,000 television viewers. At worst, it's much, much lower than that. I mean, it's just, it was not feasible that this would work. So, anyway, back in a moment. I got more to talk about. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Well, we reviewed SmackDown yesterday, Tom, and you don't even get SmackDown. You're very, just, you know how you are.
Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
That's your impression of
Yeah,
me?
that's my impression of you.
Wow.
So what are we? At least I hope you at least watch a SmackDown main event.
I watched the entire show.
Okay, because there's a
SmackDown.
lot of people that still like your review, Tom.
I went on the board and I saw like 2 people.
Yeah, do you go on?
So-
you go on Twitter?
Yeah, I do go on Twitter.
You read my
actually.
emails,
I do go on
the
Twitter.
text messages. I mean,
Do you go on Twitter? Because if you do,
unfortunately, yes.
you would have seen one of the greatest moments in world history.
In
take
world
place.
history, really.
World history. Frank Tate walked away the victor of the fight, but he walked away an even bigger winner when it comes to life. This man completed what I would say is the best high five, the best dap up in the history of the galaxy. This man had his dog. His dog. And when I say dog,
Barely a dog.
I mean D-O-G and D-A-W-G. This was a dog, baby. The dog was so proud. You can see just the elation in that dog's face. He threw that paw up. He let it hang for a few moments, and then he brought
Tom's
it down
not even
for the dap.
Tom's not even doing this justice. Everyone has seen a dog
Listen.
like you put your hand out and the dog like puts his paw up to shake hands. This freaking dog goes, "Ah, hoppa!" Like what? That was more than a high five. I don't even know what you would even term that. He dunked. He dunked that man.
30 million views on this clip. And that is about 1/10 of what it should have. So if you haven't seen it, you deserve it. Treat yourself. Go to my Twitter. Watch Frank Tate high five his dog.
No, he did not high five his dog.
The dog high
His
fived
dog
him.
high fived him. Yes. He just wanted like a, just boom. And this dog was like, no way, brother. You knock that man out. I'm going to give you a big time dunking high five from way up high. You go high five, up high, down low, too slow. This was an up high. Guy should have pulled his hand away.
It's the best thing you've ever seen.
Man, too slow, Joe. Yeah, it was pretty good. Not going to lie. I liked it. Is here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I should add, by the way, that that they had originally very, very big plans for the Grand Slam show because they kept Toni Storm off TV for 4 months so they could bring her back in December to set up this match with Mariah May coming up in February. So they did not originally plan this for it to be I don't think, just a Saturday Night Collision show at 10:30.
No way. No, this and the Tokyo Dome show, when they announced these things, things were not going well as far as creatively and business-wise. There were the slumps that were going on, but I think they were thinking big. And again, why? I understand the deal of, well, Brisbane gave them money. But as the person in Australia had told us, again, doing this in another part of the country still would have been a mistake, but it would have made a lot more sense. And I guess that's one of the things that they have to learn. Dallas has been a great partner with Arlington and Esports Stadium, and we'll see how things end up for All In coming up. But when it comes to just taking the money because they're offering you some big breaks to run there, there's a great example of what took place here, that's not the best idea all the time.
We got WWE running a premium live event, otherwise known as a PLE, for the first time ever. What's funny is, like, every now and then, I don't know if they're older or what, but people get mad at me for calling it a PLE now instead of a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a PLE, guys. I mean, do you want around calling it closed circuit still if you're really old? Like, things change. It's a PLE now.
Well, look, WWE runs PLEs. Everybody else, for the most part, is running pay-per-views. There's still a lot of places that run pay-per-views. So, okay, fine. If you want to limit the terminology to WWE, that's fine. But that's what it is now. We went from, as Brian mentioned, closed circuit to pay-per-view, home pay-per-view, and now we're at PLEs. This is just the way it goes. Put it on your spin wheel, or what was that thing called that
I got that.
would always talk about?
I got the wheel over there. I'll do that later. Clash in Paris at the Paris La Défense Arena, Sunday, August 31st. Listed capacity of 40,000. They will also do Raw from the same venue.
Sure.
A 40,000 seat building for Clash in Paris and Raw.
Well, when you're hot and you only show up to a place once every couple of years to do something at this level, I think they're going to have no problem. They won't be going back to it next year. That's for sure.
I wouldn't take that bet. They drew in Lyon in May and did 12,000, and I mean they sold that place out, giant ticket prices. So we shall see.
Oh, this whole tour that's coming up, that not only the one that's coming up before Mania, but the one that's going to take place around when they're going to France. I mean, they're really, again, it's just serious bucks being made, and they got people over there whipped up into a frenzy too, which, again, globally right now, because it's, it's always been one of those things historically, and I could be wrong about this, but I think this is the case where, the States weren't hot in the early to mid-'90s, but Japan was. Or you look at different times where, their WWF is hot in Europe, but they were dying in the States. So that's why they kept going over to Europe in the 90s. But it's been rare where everything has been hot at one time like this for them, and they are literally hot all over the place.
So, January 20th, Raw. So we are now 3 weeks in. I guess, maybe 4 weeks in. I think 3 weeks in. No, 4 weeks in. So week 1 did basically 5.9 million viewers. Week 2 had the, as expected, drop, because it always happens, 3.7 million. 3.7 million third week, and this week it was 3 million. So my guess is, actually, let me think about this.
Millions are still watching on Netflix.
Well, hold on. I'm not sure about this because the 5.9 and the 3.7, 3.7, that might be including, they add the, the plus 7 or whatever, or the plus however many they added. I'm not sure if this week's. My point is this. Raw is apparently going to settle in around 3 to 3.5 million viewers worldwide every week. So I think that's what we can say. And maybe it'll grow, maybe it'll fall, but I think that's... I don't see it dropping significantly further than this. We're 4 weeks in. So the people still watching, I mean, this is going to be largely where you're settling in.
You brought up the plus 7. For those who don't know, that's okay. The amount of people that watch within a week, do they do plus 3 as well, too? Because isn't that what's most important to the AEWs? And it used to be important to WWE that, okay, if you didn't get them within a day, you got to get them within 3.
I guess that's last week's number. So this week's number won't be out till next week. So this would be for the January 20th show? Okay, so that's where we're going to settle in, 3 million. Certain shows I think will be bigger. Certain shows will be probably right around 3 million. I don't see it dropping significantly. And actually, as football season wraps up, I guess that probably should go up. But,
it should.
But we don't know because we don't know when people are watching. It's different now.
And it doesn't really matter anymore. Whatever release they put out saying that that's what it's going to be, I mean, again, who really knows? But when it comes to the CW this week, NXT had a really good rating last week. It will be interesting to see how much that drops, if at all, this week.
All right. Chris Daniels says doctors advised him to stop wrestling after the Texas death match with Hangman, just as he stated on Dynamite last week. It was reported the bout was being treated backstage as his last match. Daniels made the call to not make a big deal out of it. He said he had planned to continue his in-ring career after the match against Paige, but doctors advised him against it. He said the idea was going to get to the point where I wrestled this match with Hangman, And then, when that story's over, just do what comes next, whatever other young guy would come forward, and I would wrestle that person and go from there. And then that ended up not really working out because of the way the match went, he said. So, he says, when the match happens with Hangman, I was going to take this move. I ended up sliding a little too far down. I actually bumped my head a little bit, got a little tingly in the arm. Finish was meant to be the buckshot to the back of the neck, but when I hit, I got a little bit of a jolt. I was like, I've had stingers before, so I didn't think anything of it. I go check with the docs, and they were like, how do you feel? I told them I feel okay, little tingling here in my arm. They were like, well, that's disconcerting. That made me think maybe I should check this out, another MRI, and they said you really should stop doing this. You're 54. It isn't going to get better. Vertebrae starting to fuse. You're going to get less and less flexible. You've taken enough bumps or any sort of whiplash. The danger quotient rises and rises. So he said this on, I guess, where was this? Jericho's podcast. So I'll just say this. I'm a huge fan of Chris. Love the guy. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm sure that all of this that he said happened. But I was told in advance that this was his retirement match. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the idea was it would be his retirement match and then he'd do another match later and they told him not to or whatever. And even in the story, it talks about how it was treated as his retirement match. It was seen as his retirement match when he came through the curtain. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of all this. All I know is I was told in advance he's going to do a retirement match with the Hangman. So, that's what happened. But anyway.
If that's it, he owes us nothing. That's for sure. Going back to the 90s, he has been incredibly influential. As far as, coming from the California scene and coming over to the East Coast and helping build up Ring of Honor and being one of the guys. And, he was one of the good parts about when TNA started. There was that Triple X tag team that was Elix, Skipper, he, and Low-Ki. And Low-Ki was never there, so it was basically Skipper and Daniels all the time. And they were a tremendous team. And, he was always one of those guys. He didn't have the right look. He was too small. He was this, he was that. But he ended up persevering through all that stuff and has been incredibly influential. And maybe there is a little bit of truth in this as far as he had a plan to do something else and he can't do it anymore. But I hope, even if it's not on screen, I hope there is some sort of celebration for him, because he has been so important to a lot of people and has crossed over with a lot of people, again, going back for a long, long time now.
Then we had, Jordan Grace. She claims she will not be in the women. Well, actually, she has not said that. What she's stated is that she will be in Austin, Texas, Friday through Sunday, hosting her mother's 50th birthday party, and she posted flight info. She did not flat out say she would not be in the Rumble.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens on Saturday. Chris Jericho talked about Britt Baker in an interview with Sports Illustrated. He said he'd have to ask Britt where she's at. I haven't really heard either way. I know she's obviously a very valuable part of the company. One of the OGs, probably one of our homegrown stars. I think she does a great job whenever she's in the ring, so I don't see her leaving or going anywhere. I look forward to seeing her come back on the show because she has a great character and a great presence. Once again, a great fan base within AEW and within the wrestling world. So we know no more now than we knew a week ago.
Why don't you get them on a conference call together?
What, Britt and Jericho?
Yeah.
What are they going to talk about?
I don't know, but it might make for some pretty good audio, so record it.
Well, when we come back, I got good audio for you. I'm going to talk about Ava. I mean, seriously, is she not turning heel? Like, am I out to lunch here?
She's backing into a parking spot right over you, buddy.
I guarantee she backs into parking spots. Guarantee it.
And it takes her 15 minutes.
I had so much positive feedback about that yesterday. Brought a tear to my eye. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
There's 1, 2. Now he's got Bryan Alvarez. He whips him into the corner hard. Adam Firestorm following up, catches a boot to the face. Bryan Alvarez with another hard shot to the head. 1, 2. This is the most aggressive I've seen Bryan Alvarez today here in Portland Wrestling. Now he's got his knee across the throat. He's choking him, LC.
Well, it's like this week Alvarez has something to prove, brother. Something to prove to his sweet little lady over there.
Of course, Adam Firestorm with a big win over Black Dragon last week. Looking for another one here. There's a sunset flip. Is he going to go down? Yes, he is. Over he goes. 1, 2, 3. It is all over. Adam Firestorm with the victory over beautiful Bryan Alvarez here in Portland Wrestling. Now out Bryan Alvarez firing away with a boot. Action continues after the bell. Goes for the back body drop. No! Face first plant by Adam Firestorm. Your winner once, looks like he'll be your winner twice. Action continues. There's a whip into the far corner. Adam Firestorm follows with a spinning kick. LC, I think Bryan Alvarez has bit off more than he could chew tonight. Miss Rent-to-Own really disgusted over in the corner. Adam Firestorm not done. There's a lion sold on top. He hooks him again. 1, 2. 2.5. I thought we had a 3 count earlier in this match, LC. I was wrong.
I can't believe it. I thought Youth Gone Wild was just adding a little salt to the wound. I thought Alvarez was Alvarez and a 2-time loser, brother.
Well, Mark Watson's hand must have stopped just short of the 3 count. And these eyes of mine need glasses, because I thought I saw a 3 count Bryan Alvarez going up top.
Oh, well, forget about your cataracts, brother. Up and over he goes.
Nobody home. Adam Firestorm back in control, playing a bit of possum. He's climbing up top. Is Rento-Onato really upset? There he goes. Swamp
oh, and that one hit.
There's a hook the leg. 1, 2, 3. Now it's all over.
A 2-time loser. And does the LC have to look after Miss Rento-Onato tonight, baby?
There's Adam Firestorm, your winner in this match. Once, twice, 3 times, it didn't matter. Bryan Alvarez not up to it. Miss Rento-Onato absolutely disgusted with it. Mark Watson explaining to him it was a 3 count this time. No hook the leg. Fair and square, Adam Firestorm, your winner here on Portland Wrestling. Fans will be right back with after a message from our sponsors.
Attention, After Dark Radio's coming up. 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. Set your alarm. Here on Sports Byline USA, as well as always, Twitch and YouTube, and if you're a subscriber at WrestlingObserver.com or Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you will get the replay as soon as the show is over. And if you are a subscriber, you'll get to the bonus portion of the interview as well that you can only hear as a subscriber. Father Sebastian will be our guest on the program, talking vampires. We had another guest talking vampires about a month ago, which people seem to really like that. People like their vampires, I've noticed.
Father Guido Sarducci?
No.
Oh.
Now, here is the NXT report. This is everything that happened on this show. I'm not making any of it up. We had Bayley and Julia versus Cora and Roxanne, which was a good match. Bayley pinned Cora with a top rope elbow, which I guess is important as we find out later. I have such a love-hate relationship with this show. It's incredible. So Bayley and Julia shake hands. Bayley takes a long, hard look at that women's title. By the way, somebody tell me if I'm out of it here. And don't just say something like, go back and watch, okay? So, you know they have multiple cameras, right? This ain't no rinky-dink organization.
No.
One of these frickin' cameras was out of focus. And it was driving me batty. They had like 4 cameras, and all of them are full HD. I get HD, 1080p, 60 on YouTube TV. Beautiful, beautiful. Then they cut to this camera, and it's blurry. It looks like, if you look on the video right here, that YouTube plaque back there. I'm like, can someone focus this frickin' camera, or was there like snot on it or something? Like, it's driving me nuts. Anyway, so there was one thing I was mad about. Eddie Thorpe did a promo, vowed to make his mark. A-Town down in the ring with Grayson, Waller, and Theory. They're going to interview Obafemi. And there's things about wrestling that this stuff only happens in wrestling. So A-Town down comes out, they get booed out of the building. Then Grayson notes, hey, Theory's from Atlanta. Now all of a sudden everyone loves Theory. They start cheering that guy. And they cheer both guys. Well, Grayson doesn't want to be cheered, so he talked about it. The fans suck, so they turn on him. They're interviewing Obafemi. And then the fans start chanting, talk to Theory. But whoever was doing production thought they were chanting like F you Theory, so they start bleeping it. They're not allowing you to hear talk to Theory. So I'll give the guy credit. Theory hears this, and so he they went over the whole segment or whatever. So Theory grabbed the mic and he just starts doing all of Grayson's lines. He just takes over, so the people are all happy. And then, Oba's doing this deal, and they're burying him. They're talking about Actually, the best part was when Theory goes, I did 3 WrestleManias before you even signed with NXT. Then he goes, come to think of it, 4. I was like, dude, don't even remember how many WrestleManias he was on. So, and then Oba goes, yeah, well, you know what? I don't see you guys having any belts. I don't see either of you guys as NXT champions. And so then the fans start chanting, turn on Grayson. And both of the heels crack when they hear that, because they've been teasing a turn since literally last February. We're on 11 months. They began a turn 11 months ago. It has not happened yet. So they're laughing. And then finally, Oba just says, all right, we got Vengeance Day in 2 weeks. Which of you blokes going to step up? So Grayson jumps up. He demands the title shot. Ava then comes out, my beloved. And Ava says, Oba, how many times do I have to tell you? You're not the booker. I am. Now, before she can say anything else, Trick runs down. He says, I deserve this title shot. Everybody knows it. He hits the ring. He lays out Waller in Theory, but then Oba lays him out, and Ava vanishes. Doesn't even make a ruling. She just disappears. And that's the end of the segment. It's like you got one job. You came out for one reason, to make a ruling about this, and then you just didn't make it. Okay, well, we'll deal with that later. So then there's Izzy Dame, and in a great moment, live in the building, everybody starts chanting Tiffy time because they thought Izzy Dame was Tiffany Stratton, but she's not. I am not making this up. They find out she's Izzy Dame. They begin booing. So anyway, she says, nothing's going on with me and Tony. We just both don't like Sean Spears. And Ridge shows up, calls her a liar. Stax walks up. They get in an argument. They get separated, leading to nothing. Although I guess they're going to have a match, but not on this show. Then we have Trick and Wes Lee. Now, if you were paying attention, what did I just say? I said that Trick got beat up by Oba, powerbombed. He was killed. Ava was right there watching it. Well, we're only a half hour into the show. If you had any sort of compassion, you'd let this guy sit out for a while before he has his match with Wes Lee. No. He must wrestle immediately. This guy can barely stand. He's holding his ribs. He just got killed. He's forced to wrestle Wes Lee now. So, Wes Lee starts beating on this dude. And Wes Lee is now mentoring Tyson and Tyreek. So we do this stupid thing that's so stupid, and everybody does it, and it's stupid. Tyson and Tyreek, they're in the ring for half of this match. But, it's Trick yanking him in, Trick sending him out. They didn't touch Trick, even though, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you see my 2 fingers? Okay, I can't touch my fingers without both of them touching each other. I can't touch this finger with only this. They both touch. But we're told, oh, they didn't touch Trick. So, like, he's fighting 3 dudes while injured, while forced into the ring by Ava. And finally, after he throws all these other idiots out of the ring, he starts stomping Wesley in the corner, and he finally makes comeback. The ref goes, no, you got to get away from that guy. And he tries to pull him away, and Trick shoves the guy down, and he gets DQ'd. He's punished. DQ'd. I'm dying. So it gets worse. They cut to Ava, watching all of this backstage. She is shaking her head in disappointment. She is disappointed in Trick Williams. The man that she forced into the ring injured, who literally had to fight 3 men at the same time, and after overcoming all of this unfairness, he gets disqualified because he loses his temper because of this idiot referee who allowed all of this to go on. She's disappointed in Trick.
It gets better.
Oba then walks into her office. She says, Oba, I got quite a few problems. You don't say, Ava. She says, Oba, stop trying to book your matches. I'm in charge. Oba Femi, the best character in wrestling, says, okay, do your job. Who am I wrestling at Vengeance Day for the title? Ava then says, you will be facing Theory and Waller, both of them, in a triple threat match. I was like, Ava then leaves the office. She storms into the men's dressing room without knocking. All the guys are like, whoa, whoa. I'm not making this up. Where's Punk, by the way? She storms into the room without knocking, the men's dressing room, rushes over to Trick, starts screaming at him. He says to her, this is what happens when everyone else gets a title shot except you. She says, well, let me inform you that Waller and Theory are getting a title match at Vengeance Day, and you're not. And he says, how in the hell do they deserve a title shot? At which point, as God Almighty is my witness, Ava says, and I quote, you think they don't deserve it? No, they don't deserve it. They haven't done anything.
Trick just said no.
Trick is like, what are you talking about? So then she says, well, you want to prove they don't deserve it? Like it needs proof that Waller and Theory, she needs proof they don't deserve it. She signs Trick and Oba versus these two next week. Am I in the frickin' Twilight Zone? Like, what's going on here? You know what's funny is when they did this segment, it was like so easy to make all of this make sense without making her look stupid. All you had to do after that schmoz was sign the tag match first, with the stipulation being that if Trick gets the win next week, or you could say Trick or Oba, if either of them get the win next week, it's Trick and Oba for the title. Or if Grayson Waller or Austin Theory, if either of them get the win, it's a 3-way. No, they did it backwards. She gave them the title shot first, a completely undeserving title shot. The guy who lost the title in a 3-way never got a rematch. He's out to lunch. He complains about it. She says, well, if you want to prove they don't deserve it, let's do this tag match. How is that going to prove anything? What is happening here?
We're going to need to have one of those NXT Mr. Belding talks to Lisa moments where Shawn Michaels has got to sit down with Ava and say, come on, we got to get our heads back in the game here.
It's 1999 all over again. Fallon beat Shotzi with her finish, which is now called the Hoedown. Yep. Yep.
She's got an interesting gimmick as part of the rest of Fatal Influence, doesn't she? Like that Western cowgirl thing, and
they're in the middle of breaking up too. But this has also happened for months, but no one's noticed. Her and JC, they don't like each other at all. Then we had, God, I can't even. This is why I need the Bryan and Vinny show. I can't even on some of these because of profanity rules. Carmen and Kalani in the back. I mean, oh my God, the acting in this segment, I was just absolutely dying. And then
Kalani's gonna be great.
And then it got even better in the next segment, where Ava is interviewed. She's asked about the NXT title match. She says she's sick of dealing with Trick, who's the top babyface, by the way. She has to be turning heel. Roxanne walks up and complains that Julia is defending her title against Bayley. She's ranting and raving. She says, it's Cora's fault we lost tonight, which Cora takes very personally. And then Ava finally says, well, if you just listen, the match is going to be Julia versus Bayley versus you, Roxanne. So now she's happy. She says, all right, we're good. And then I can't even do what Cora does. I just can't. But Cora's just like, she all of a sudden goes, no, we are not good. Turns her back and I was freaking dying. Dying. I died a death watching this segment. And I watched it again and again and again and again. This is the best show for the CW, dude. Oh, my God.
It absolutely is.
Ethan Page and Cedric Alexander. Ethan beat him. Then goes to tear off the bottom turnbuckle. Javon returns, beats him up. He's still not cleared. And then the main event was Naomi and Bianca versus Jakar and Lash for the tag titles. Bianca and Naomi won. Combo KOD for the pin. And that was the show, except for a teaser at the very end. Tell you about that after the break. Observer Live. If you love this show, you should consider signing up at WrestlingObserver.com. WrestlingObserver.com has every show that we have ever done. Over 15,000 podcasts in the archives, dating back to 2005. Searchable by show, searchable by year. Perhaps the first show you ever watched was 2008 WrestleMania? Well, you can head into the archives and you can find the podcast we did all built around the 2008 WrestleMania. Every major show, whether it be WWE, AEW, we covered it all. 15,000 archived shows at WrestlingObserver.com. Also, when you subscribe, you get full access to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. There's a new Observer every Friday. And on top of that, we have thousands and thousands of archived issues of the Observer dating back to 1991. So again, WrestleMania 2008. Go to the archives, search WrestleMania 2008, read all of the issues surrounding that show. Of course, Wrestling Observer newsletter, 40,000 words of news and information on pro wrestling and mixed martial arts every single week. New issue comes out every Friday. New back issue comes out every Monday. You also get the discussion board. One of the best discussion boards on the internet. It's members only. If you're going to troll, well, you got to pay to troll, and there aren't too many of those. And if you cause too much trouble, you're out of there. So if you want a great place to discuss professional wrestling, it is the board. Also available as a subscriber at WrestlingObserver.com. The whole package, all of the new shows, all of the archived shows, all of the new issues of the Observer, all of the archived editions of the newsletter, all of the past episodes of Wrestling Observer Radio, Wrestling Observer Live, The Bryan and Vinny Show, Figure Four Daily, Filthy Four Daily, The Board, all of it, just $14.99 per month. The full shebang, and you can save a lot of money getting an annual subscription. A full year, you basically get 2 months free. So check it out, WrestlingObserver.com, everything you'll ever need as a fan of professional wrestling. Check it out today, F4WOnline.com. Joe Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. So the NXT show ended up with a test pattern that just said Vengeance Day.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing a test pattern gimmick?
Wyatt's?
Got to be someone old. People don't even know what a test pattern even is anymore.
GTV.
So anyway, that was the end of NXT.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Hey, we got a big show coming up at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, everybody. Yes,
Damn
today.
right.
Yes, on Sports Byline, as well as YouTube and Twitch. However you're listening to this right now, you can listen for free. After Dark Radio, our special guest, Father Sebastian, today, talking vampires and plenty more. The paranormal. If you've got questions, you can put them into the chat in either place, and we'll try to get to some of those as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're a subscriber, you'll get a bonus portion of the interview as well once the live show goes off the air. So check it out. A lot of places to sign up. WrestlingObserver.com for everything. And if you just want the podcast, we got Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube. Just go to f4wonline.com/Apple, f4wonline.com/Spotify, f4wonline.com/YouTube. And by the way, Apple Podcasts has a free trial. Free! So you should try it, especially with the Royal Rumble coming up this weekend, because we got big shows coming up after the Rumble. We'll have the Brian and Vinny and Sean and Mark show. And Craig, I believe. I'm not sure about Craig because of the time the show starts, but we're going to have that as well as Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave Meltzer. Both Saturday night. Going to be a busy day, and that's that. So we're out of here. Mike's going to be here tomorrow. I will not, but I will be back for Fun Friday and plenty more. And I'll be back later on tonight for subscribers, Wrestling Observer Radio, and again in 1 hour After Dark Radio. So we'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.
You guys are clear. Great show.
See